The bright sun shone down on Earth as the Zephyrians landed their sleek silver spaceship in a quiet park. The grass was green, and flowers bloomed in every color. The aliens, tall and graceful, stepped out, their shimmering skin reflecting the sunlight. They had come from a distant planet to learn about humans. Excitement filled the air as they took their first steps on this new world. The leader of the Zephyrians, Zorath, looked around with wide eyes. "This place is beautiful," he said, his voice soft and melodic. His companions nodded in agreement. They were eager to explore and meet the strange creatures they had heard so much about. As they walked through the park, they saw humans playing games, laughing, and enjoying the day. Children chased each other, their laughter echoing through the air. Couples sat on benches, holding hands and sharing stories. Zorath felt a sense of warmth and happiness as he watched them. "They seem friendly," he said, a smile spreading across his face. Curiosity drove the Zephyrians to approach a group of humans having a picnic. The humans looked up, surprised but not afraid. They waved and invited the aliens to join them. Zorath and his friends were thrilled. They had never met another species before, and now they were about to eat with humans. As they sat down, the humans offered them sandwiches, fruits, and drinks. Zorath tried a piece of fruit. It was sweet and juicy, and he loved it. "This is delicious," he exclaimed, enjoying the new taste. The humans laughed, happy to share their food. After a while, one of the humans, a cheerful girl named Mia, asked, "What do you eat on your planet?" The aliens looked at each other, unsure how to answer. They had never thought about it before. Zorath finally said, "We consume energy from the air. It gives us strength and keeps us alive." The humans were fascinated. They had never heard of such a thing. As they continued to talk and laugh, Zorath noticed something unusual. In the distance, he saw a food truck. It was painted bright red and had a sign that read, "BBQ Meats." Zorath's curiosity got the better of him. "What is BBQ?" he asked the humans. Mia's eyes lit up with excitement. "It's grilled meat. You've got to try it," she replied. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They had never encountered the idea of eating other living beings. They had come to learn about humans, but this was something new and frightening. When they reached the food truck, the delicious smell filled the air. The humans placed their orders, and soon they were served plates piled high with grilled meat. Zorath hesitated, his heart racing. The humans devoured their meals with joy, but the sight of the meat made him uneasy. Mia offered a piece to Zorath, smiling brightly. "You have to taste this. It's the best," she insisted. With shaking hands, Zorath took the piece, but his mind raced with questions. He thought of the living creatures that had once roamed the land. How can they eat this, he wondered. What if it was one of their friends? Just as he was about to take a bite, Zorath froze. "Wait!" "This was once alive, wasn't it?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. The human stopped, looking puzzled. "Of course," Mia said. "It's part of our food culture. We've been doing this for centuries." Zorath's heart sank. The other Zephyrians shared his shock. The laughter and joy they had felt moments ago faded into a heavy silence. They had come to Earth seeking knowledge and friendship, but now they faced a terrifying truth about humans. This was not what they had expected. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the aliens realized they had a lot to think about. They had witnessed the beauty of human culture, but were now confronted with a part of it that filled them with dread. Zorath looked at his companions, unsure of what to say next. Would they ever understand this strange and fascinating species? The day had been full of excitement, but as the Zephyrians prepared to return to their ship, they felt a mix of curiosity and fear. They had learned that humans were complex beings capable of both joy and horror. Little did they know this was just the beginning of their incredible journey on Earth. The next day, the Zephyrians awoke with a mix of excitement and worry. After their first encounter with humans, they were eager to learn more, but the thought of what humans ate still troubled them. Zorath gathered his friends, Lyra and Nox, and they decided to visit a popular restaurant in the city. They hoped to understand more about human culture, but felt uneasy about the meals they might see. As they walked through the bustling streets, the sounds of laughter and music surrounded them. Humans hurried past, carrying bags and chatting excitedly. The Zephyrians noticed how colorful everything was. The bright lights, the lively shops, and the smells wafting through the air. Their hearts raced with curiosity. This place is full of life, Lyra said, her eyes sparkling. Finally, they arrived at the restaurant, which had a large sign that read, Barbecue Heaven. The aroma of grilled meat wafted toward them, strong and enticing. Zorath felt a tug of hunger in his stomach, but the memory of their last encounter made him hesitate. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, glancing nervously at his friends. "Let's just see what it's like," Knox replied, trying to sound brave. "We need to understand them better." With a deep breath, they entered the restaurant. Inside, the atmosphere was lively. Families and friends gathered around tables, chatting and enjoying their meals. The walls were adorned with pictures of food, showcasing juicy ribs, burgers, and sizzling steaks. A cheerful waiter approached them, smiling broadly. "Welcome to Barbecue Heaven. What can I get you?" he asked. The Zephyrians looked at the menu, their eyes widening at the variety of meat dishes. Zorath hesitated, glancing at Lyra and Nox. "What do you recommend?" he asked the waiter, trying to sound casual. "You have to try the ribs. They're our best sellers," the waiter replied enthusiastically. Lyra smiled, feeling adventurous. "Let's get those ribs," she said. Zorath and Nox nodded, though a knot of fear twisted in their stomachs. When the food arrived, the sight was overwhelming. The ribs were glistening with sauce, and the smell was rich and smoky. The humans around them were digging in, their faces filled with joy. The Zephyrians watched in awe and horror, their minds racing. "This is what they do?" Zorath thought, remembering the living beings they had seen on their planet. With shaky hands, they each took a piece of the rib. As they brought it to their mouths, Zorath felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. He thought of the animals that had once roamed the land. "Can I really do this?" he wondered. But curiosity overcame fear, and he took a bite. As the meat touched his tongue, an explosion of flavor hit him. The taste was savory and rich, unlike anything he had ever experienced. He felt a rush of pleasure, but then guilt flooded in. "This is wrong," he thought, struggling with his emotions. The other Zephyrians were silent, lost in their own thoughts. Suddenly, a loud cheer erupted from a nearby table. A group of humans raised their glasses, celebrating a special occasion. Zorath glanced at them, seeing their happiness, and felt torn. How can they enjoy this when it involves another life? He thought. He wanted to understand, but the reality was overwhelming. Just then, Mia walked into the restaurant, her eyes lighting up when she spotted the Zephyrians. "Hey, you came back," she said, beaming. "Did you try the ribs?" "They're amazing." Zorath forced a smile but felt a knot in his stomach. "We are enjoying it," he said, not wanting to hurt her feelings. Mia laughed and sat down with them. "You have to try the sauces. They make everything taste better." She poured some sauce over her ribs, her excitement infectious. The Zephyrians watched her, a mix of admiration and confusion swirling in their minds. As the meal continued, Zorath realized this was more than just food. It was a part of human culture, a way to bond and celebrate. Yet, the thought of the lives taken for this joy weighed heavily on him. Lyra and Nox shared his struggle, their eyes reflecting a deep sense of conflict. After finishing their meal, the Zephyrians sat in silence, each lost in their thoughts. The taste of the food lingered, but so did the uncomfortable truth of its source. Zorath looked at his friends, unsure of how to process this experience. They had come to learn about humans, but now they faced a shocking reality that would change everything. As they left the restaurant, the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the city. The Zephyrians felt a mix of emotions, curiosity, excitement, and fear. They had learned so much, but the question remained, could they truly understand a species that found joy in eating the very beings they had come to respect? This was just the beginning of their journey, and they had much more to discover about humanity. The next day dawned bright and clear, but a cloud of worry hung over the Zephyrians. After their shocking meal, Zorath, Lyra, and Nox gathered in their spaceship, discussing the events of the previous day. They had come to Earth to learn and explore, but now they were filled with confusion and fear about what they had discovered. "What if humans are dangerous?" Lyra said, her voice trembling. "They eat meat. What if they decide they want to eat us too?" Zorath nodded, feeling a knot in his stomach. He had seen the joy on the faces of the humans as they feasted, but he could not shake the fear that came with the realization of what they were capable of. "We need to find out more," Nox suggested, trying to sound brave. "We have to understand them better before we make any decisions." The others agreed, knowing they could not let fear control their actions. They needed information, and they needed it fast. The Zephyrians decided to visit a nearby university where they hoped to find humans studying biology and other sciences. As they arrived, they were amazed by the large buildings and the number of people bustling around. Students carried books and discussed their studies with enthusiasm. The energy was palpable, and for a moment, the aliens felt hopeful again. Zorath approached a group of students sitting under a tree. "Excuse me," he said politely. The students looked up, surprised to see the tall, shimmering figures before them. "We are visitors from another planet. We seek knowledge about humans and their habits." The students exchanged curious glances, and one of them, a girl named Sarah, smiled. "Wow, that's amazing. What do you want to know?" she asked eagerly. Zorath hesitated, unsure how to express their fears. "We would like to understand food. Why do humans eat meat?" he finally asked. The students listened intently. Sarah explained, "Eating meat is part of our culture. It provides protein and nutrients that help us grow strong. Many people enjoy the taste and the traditions that come with it." As she spoke, Zorath felt his heart race. The more he learned, the more complicated the situation became. "But doesn't it harm other creatures?" Knox asked, his voice serious. "How can you enjoy food knowing it comes from living beings?" The students paused, clearly taken aback by the question. Sarah looked thoughtful, and then she replied, "It's a part of our food chain. Many cultures have their own beliefs about food and what is acceptable to eat. It's not easy to think about, but it's how many of us have lived for generations." The Zephyrians exchanged glances, feeling the weight of this information. Zorath thought about the beings on their planet who lived in harmony without taking lives. The contrast was striking. "So you do not feel fear when you eat?" he asked softly. The students looked uncomfortable. "It's complicated," Sarah admitted. "Some people do feel bad about it. Others think about it less. We each have our own beliefs." As they talked, the Zephyrians noticed the growing tension among the students. They were beginning to feel the discomfort that came with discussing such a heavy topic. Suddenly, a loud commotion broke out nearby. A group of humans had gathered, shouting and waving signs. The Zephyrians approached, intrigued and worried. The signs read, "Stop the meat industry," and "Save the animals!" The humans were protesting against the treatment of animals in the food industry. Zorath and his friends watched in astonishment. They are afraid too, he thought. The humans were shouting passionately about a cause that resonated with their own feelings. Zorath turned to the students, asking, "Do you feel this way too?" Sarah nodded, her eyes wide with realization. "Many of us are starting to question our food choices. We're learning more about animal rights and the impact of our diets on the planet." Zorath felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps humans were not as cruel as they had feared. They were capable of compassion and change. As the protest continued, Zorath and his friends felt their fears begin to shift. They realized that understanding humans was not just about what they ate, but also about their emotions, beliefs, and values. It was complicated, but it was also full of potential for growth. Still, the Zephyrians knew they had to be cautious. They could not ignore the fact that humans had the power to harm, just as they had the capacity for kindness. As they returned to their spaceship, Zorath pondered the day's events. "We must learn more," he said determinedly. "There is much to understand about this strange and wonderful species." With new resolve, the Zephyrians prepared for the next phase of their journey. They would not let fear guide them. Instead, they would embrace curiosity and seek deeper knowledge about the complexities of humanity. The adventure was far from over, and Zorath was eager to discover what lay ahead. The next day, Zorath, Lyra, and Nox sat inside their spaceship, a sense of anticipation buzzing in the air. They had decided it was time to meet with human leaders. After the protest, they understood that humans were not only complex, but also passionate about their beliefs. Zorath felt a mix of fear and excitement. This meeting could change everything, he thought. They had contacted a group of humans who were interested in discussing interspecies relationships. The humans had agreed to meet them at a nearby conference center, a large building filled with bright lights and curious people. As they prepared, Zorath reminded Lyra and Nox, "Remember, we must be respectful. They may have many questions for us, just as we do for them." When they arrived, they were greeted by a warm smile from Mia, the girl they had met at the restaurant. "I'm so glad you made it," she exclaimed. "Everyone is excited to meet you." Zorath felt a wave of relief. Mia's friendly presence calmed his nerves. As they entered the conference room, they were amazed at the sight. A large table filled with people awaited them. Some were scientists, while others were activists, and there were even a few government officials. All eyes turned to the Zephyrians as they walked in. "Welcome, friends from another world," a tall man with glasses said, stepping forward. "I'm Dr. Reynolds, and I'm honored to have you here. We are eager to learn from you." Zorath nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. After the introductions, the meeting began. Dr. Reynolds started by asking, "What is your opinion about our planet so far?" Zorath took a deep breath. "We have seen much beauty, but also much fear. We are worried about how humans treat other beings." The room fell silent. Mia spoke up. "That's a valid concern. Many of us are starting to change our views on food and animals. We don't all agree with how things are done, but change takes time." Another woman, a passionate activist named Lisa, chimed in. "It's important for us to hear your thoughts. We can learn from each other. Maybe we can find a way to coexist without harming other species." Zorath felt hope stir within him. "We wish to understand your culture and values. If we know more, perhaps we can help each other." The discussion shifted as the humans asked about Zephyrian society. Lyra shared their ways of living in harmony with nature. "On our planet, we do not take lives for food. We believe in balance." The humans listened intently, their expressions a mix of curiosity and surprise. "How do you survive without meat?" one young man asked. "We eat fruits, vegetables, and grains. There are many ways to live healthily without harming other beings," Knox explained. As the meeting continued, ideas flowed back and forth. The humans spoke about their struggles with climate change and animal rights, while the Zephyrians shared their experiences of living in peace. They talked about technology, culture, and dreams for the future. Suddenly, Dr. Reynolds raised an important point. "What if we collaborate on a project? We could explore new ways of farming that do not harm animals. Your knowledge combined with ours could lead to amazing discoveries." The room erupted with excitement. "Yes, that's a brilliant idea," Mia said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "We could host workshops and share our findings. Together we could inspire change." Zorath felt a surge of hope. This could be the beginning of something beautiful. "We could help each other create a better future," he said, looking at his friends and then at the humans. But Lisa raised her hand, her expression serious. "We must remember that change is not easy. There will be resistance from those who are set in their ways." The group nodded, acknowledging the challenge ahead. "But we will face it together," Lyra added confidently. "We can build a bridge of understanding." As the meeting came to a close, Zorath felt a sense of unity in the room. The humans and Zephyrians had shared their fears, hopes, and dreams, forging a bond that would help both species grow. As they left the conference center, Zorath felt lighter. The fear that had once gripped them had transformed into determination. They would work together, learning from each other and creating a new path forward. "Today was just the beginning," Zorath said to Lyra and Knox, a smile breaking across his face. "We have the power to make a difference." With newfound resolve, the Zephyrians prepared for the next steps in their journey. They had come to Earth seeking knowledge, and now they were on the verge of changing not only their own destiny, but also the future of humanity. Weeks passed since the big meeting, and Zorath, Lyra, and Knox settled into a routine with the humans. They worked closely with Mia, Dr. Reynolds, and Lisa to develop a project that focused on sustainable living and animal rights. The collaboration brought together the knowledge of both species, and they were all eager to find solutions. One bright morning, they gathered in a community garden outside the conference center. Zorath looked around at the vibrant colors of flowers, vegetables, and fruit trees. "This is a beautiful place," he said, smiling at the humans. "It reminds me of the gardens on my planet." Mia beamed. "We wanted to create a space that represents our commitment to nature and our animals. We hope to inspire others to see how easy it can be to grow food without harming creatures." As they dug into the soil, planting seeds together, Zorath marveled at how far they had come. Just weeks ago, they had been terrified of humans and their eating habits. Now they were working side by side, learning from one another. "What are we planting today?" Lyra asked, her hands covered in dirt. "We're planting a variety of fruits and vegetables that can thrive together," Mia explained. "Companion planting helps the plants grow better. We believe it's similar to how we can work together, different ideas and cultures coming together to create something beautiful." Zorath nodded, understanding the deeper meaning. Just like our collaboration, he said, we each bring unique strengths to the table. As they continued their work, Lisa joined them with a basket of snacks. I brought some plant-based treats for everyone to try. She handed out small, colorful bites made from grains, nuts, and fruits. They're healthy and delicious, and you won't miss the meat. Zorath hesitated for a moment, remembering his worries about food. But when he took a bite, he was surprised by the burst of flavor. This is amazing, he exclaimed, looking at Lyra and Nox. We can find delicious ways to eat without harming others. The humans smiled, relieved to see their alien friends enjoying the food. We hope to show you that there are many ways to nourish ourselves without causing harm, Mia said. With each passing day, they hosted workshops to teach others about sustainable practices. People from the community began to show interest, coming to learn how to grow their own food without harming animals. Zorath was amazed by the response. Look how many humans are eager to learn, he said one day, watching a group of children planting seeds. Yes, and it shows that change is possible, Lyra replied, feeling hopeful. They are starting to see the benefits of compassion. However, not everyone was supportive. One afternoon, a group of people arrived at the garden, shouting about how farming without meat would destroy their traditions. You're ruining our way of life, one man yelled. We need meat to survive. Zorath felt a wave of fear wash over him. Would their hard work be in vain? But Mia stepped forward, her voice steady. We understand your concerns, but we are not asking anyone to give up their traditions. We are simply showing another way. There is room for both. Dr. Reynolds joined her, adding, Let's talk about it. Change can be scary, but we can work together to find solutions that respect everyone's needs. Slowly, the crowd quieted, curiosity replacing anger. Zorath felt relieved. He understood that finding common ground was not easy, but it was possible. As the discussion unfolded, the humans and Zephyrians shared their thoughts and experiences. They listened to the concerns of those who opposed their methods, and they explained how their practices could coexist with traditional farming. By working together, we can create a future that respects both the land and its creatures, Lyra said passionately. We can protect our environment and still honor our cultures. The atmosphere shifted as more people began to engage in the conversation. Gradually, the group moved from anger to understanding, and they began to see the benefits of collaboration. As the sun set over the garden, Zorath felt a sense of unity fill the air. They had faced challenges together, and now they were on the path to finding common ground. This is just the beginning, he said, looking at his friends and the humans gathered around. We have the power to make a difference. With renewed determination, they prepared for the future. They would continue to plant seeds of knowledge, compassion, and understanding, both in the garden and in the hearts of the people around them. Together, they could create a world where all beings lived in harmony, showing that fear could transform into friendship,